So, today is Thursday the 1st of August, 2024. Nobody ever really prepares you for how little time we have. How days slip through your fingers like water from cupped hands. How years arrive and depart without waiting for you to catch your breath. Children once carried on shoulders outgrow the spaces built for them, their hands no longer reaching for ours, their voices drifting further away. We try to hold on and keep the past alive in photographs, but even memories blur at the edges, softening like ink left too long in the rain. The world moves forward, indifferent to grief, unbothered by the silence left behind. And before you realise, it's been a year and you've not followed up on your first YouTube video. So, yeah, it's been a year since I have produced any content whatsoever. I've had a camera in my hand constantly, but I have not so much as uploaded a photograph to Instagram or edited a video. Adulthood, full-time jobs, and creating anything seldom go hand in hand. Quite recently, took the plunge on buying what some would consider to be more of a everyday carry camera. The XT5, a nice little compact beast with 23mm f2, and I also own the 50mm f2, which is around a 75mm equivalent. Nice, easy to have on my shoulder, not too encumbered, certainly able to fast travel. Adding those to my photography collection has certainly made it easier to carry one around with me. And in that vein, I ensured that when I went on holiday recently in celebration of my 3-year wedding anniversary, that was the camera I took with me, along with my trusty Osmo Pocket 3, which is recording this. The goal was to document a town that I don't spend 95% of my life in, seeing it from fresh eyes and hopefully capturing some of the joy of a traditional British summertime as much as you can get in Paignton. I was able to look at the world of a British seaside with seemingly fresh eyes, considering I've lived in one for nearly my entire 43 years on the planet. Sometimes a new viewpoint, a new horizon is all you need to find inspiration. So much of this video will be mostly images from that time, just for the sake of having something to share with the world. A week where I didn't have work to think about. Long story short, I loved it and it was really inspiring, and I can't wait to make more content in a similar vein, filled with joy. Once the inevitable British holiday rain had passed, we managed to get out for a couple of hours for a walk along the seafront and the pier before getting some food. I took my camera along, though I wasn't really primarily focused on taking photos at that time. I just got some snapshots of the Paignton seafront and surrounding area. I specifically didn't bring the Osmo Pocket 3 with me on that day because it's completely not waterproof and it would have died. It wasn't until about midweek that I really hit my stride with taking photos and shooting some footage. almost directly opposite our B&B was the steps down to Fairy Cove. While by no means a private beach, you certainly wouldn't know it from the time that we spent there. It was almost completely isolated. I think we saw 3 or 4 people there the entire time we were there. We were treated to the most beautiful sunrise over Torquay, and my wife even took the opportunity to have a dip. Hugely inspired by our morning, I took the time that my family were eating breakfast, which I always skip, to go for a walk on my own and capture some more of the early morning light. As soon as I arrived in the harbour, I was immediately intrigued by the 2 gentlemen that were loading up their fishing boat, ready to go out. I probably could have spent easily half an hour here, but I felt a little bit awkward constantly taking photos of these 2 gentlemen, and also it smelled like high hell. The disgusting smell of rotting fish, I mean, especially for a vegan, wasn't ideal. Obviously, given that I was on a family holiday, I couldn't give up an entire day just to go out and take photos. I did stumble across some wonderful compositions that I wish I could have just spent a little bit more time with, waiting for a scene to have unravelled a little bit more. But there was plenty to see there anyway, plenty to just catch as it happened. This image stands out to me as probably the biggest disappointment from my morning. As soon as I saw the boots on the end of the jetty, which I spotted before I spotted the man in the water, I knew I wanted to take an image of them. And as I wandered down, I spotted the man, and the story unfolded in my head. However, I think I've made it a little bit too on the nose and a bit too obvious, rather than having a little bit more subtlety, which if I just backed up a couple of steps or possibly used a slightly wider lens, I could have told a similar story, but without it being quite so on the nose. But they can't all be bangers. We spent the rest of that day at Paynton Zoo. I have an aversion to taking photos of animals in captivity, so I didn't. This trip really has solidified for me quite how much I enjoy taking photographs of seagulls and other native British birds. That's probably just because I'm getting really old now, though. The next day we took a trip out to Torquay, about a 10-15 minute drive up the road. I really wanted to capture a lot of British scenes here, but nothing really stood out. The people were wacky though. This picture, despite being quite mundane at first sight, really unfolded for me the longer I stood here. I initially only took a picture of him because I was intrigued by what his tattoos were and I didn't want to get too close. But then I noticed the rest of the scene around him, and it unfolded into what I'd been looking for, which is a traditional British scene. We've got the George Cross at the top, the bunting, and then of course his tattoos just happen to be 3 lions and a Sex Pistols tattoo. And this is probably my favourite image from the entire day. I really enjoy the yellows all coming together across the photo, and the joyful look on the face of the woman in the full yellow outfit, next to her friend proudly wearing her black is my happy colour t-shirt. Not a perfect image by any means, but I love it. Eye contact with the camera. For the better part of the last 20 years, much of my photography was more about the likes and comments that I would get from posting it on social media, rather than the actual enjoyment of taking the photos. Since ending full-time employment as a photographer, I've really embraced the act of taking photos more and enjoy the process. I certainly don't seek the validation of other people with my photography anymore. And I think that's been significantly better for my mental health around it. I'm no longer looking for the next like and the next comment. Photography for me now is more about making something that I'm going to end up being proud of, something that I might look back at in a further 20 years and say that was something that mattered. Not that anything in this video is going to be that, but it's putting me back on the path that I want to be on. So what's the point of this video? I take photos. That's perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.